Honorable members, item 4, correction of votes and proceedings and official report. But before we do that, let me just say this. Honorable members, the House is governed by practice and procedure. Practice and procedure. The Speaker, in applying the practice and procedure, is guided by 3 things. 1, the rules and orders of the House. That includes the Constitution, the Acts of Parliament, the standing orders, and some unwritten and conventions. 2, guides from leadership. The premises of the guides is the pre-sitting meetings, where the Speaker sits with leaders to discuss issues that might have come out as leaders tried to go through the business of the House. And so the Speaker is informed about the positions, leaders, or the size of the House before you come to preside. So when leaders don't take advantage of it, and then the Speaker is presiding, and all of a sudden things just erupt, the Speaker is taken by surprise. And my only option as Speaker is to apply the rules as I know them. But I might be very good at the practice and procedure. But sometimes you have to defer to the guidance from leadership. And so please, this is to leadership. Take advantage of the pre-sitting meetings and let the Speaker know about what is happening. Are we together? I don't want what happened yesterday to be repeated again. And when I'm applying my rules, I don't want to hear objections. People claiming that I might have pre-knowledge of some things that I don't know about. I'm here for the House. We can now take item 4. Correction of votes and proceedings and official report. We have the votes and proceedings of Thursday, 17th June, 2021. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
Most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, please, at page 8, there are two corrections at item numbered 7II, the last paragraph. The Honorable Second Speaker, it should be Second Deputy Speaker. So if Deputy could be inserted, please. And Right Honorable Speaker, at item number 8A, the sitting resumed at 4:34 p.m. Sitting, this has been spelled with a D instead of a G. Let's go, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. You are very, very meticulous. Sometimes with an eagle eye.
Right House.
So, office, kindly take note. The spelling of sitting, it ends with G, not D. Page 9. Sorry, Honourable Member.
Honorable Speaker, please, I need to bring it back to page 7. 5. The paragraph reads, the votes and proceedings of the 13th sitting held on Wednesday with the date were adopted as a true record. There's where and there's are. It has to be taken as, one of has to be taken off. Page 7. Point 5.
You are right. Were adopted as a true record of proceedings. So I should be deleted. Page 9. Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
Right Honorable Speaker, please, the second paragraph at page 9, the same matter deserving of correction, the Honorable Second Deputy Speaker, not Second Speaker. There's only one Right Honorable Speaker of the House.
Full office, kindly take note. Page 10. Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
Right Honorable Speaker, item number 12 at page 10, the second line, not B, not B, one has to go, it's been repeated. The head count which could not be undertaken by clerks at the table.
Table office, take note. Yes, Honorable.
Speaker, the last sentence on number 12, page 10, that could not be undertaken by clerk at the table due to the disruption of the counting exercise by honorable members. I think I was in this house when you decided that counting should take place, and the counting was supposed to start from the majority side. So if there was any disruption, it is fair to reflect on record that the disruption came from the majority side, not from honorable members. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member, you have a point there. Table office, please do the right thing. Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
Right Honorable Speaker, the counting exercise, the exercise has been spelled without an
Actually,
R.
they have to rephrase that sentence.
Yes. And
It's not properly captured.
it's not properly. Yeah.
Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Yes, Honorable Bejra.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Committee of the Whole, in attendance, we have Dr. Richard Wedu, and then the second one, Mr. Anthony Debre. The spelling of the name is D-E-B-R-E, not E-R-A. Debre. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Table office, kindly take note. Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
Most good to Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. The Get Fund team was led by the Honorable Minister for Education, the Honorable Dr. Yaose Duchum. That is conspicuously omitted. It's very important that it is included. The Honorable Minister for Education led the team at the Committee of the Whole.
Table office, kindly include that. Page 14. Honorable members, the votes and proceedings of the 14th sitting of the second meeting of the first session held on Thursday, 17th June 2021, as corrected, are adopted as the true record of proceedings. We will now take the official report. I have a copy of the official report of Tuesday, May 2021. Any corrections? It was actually distributed yesterday, but we could not do the corrections yesterday. Is it the case that members don't have their copies? So we can take it on Tuesday? All right. So we defer the corrections on the official report of Tuesday, 25th May 2021 to Tuesday. Item 5, business statement for the 5th week, to be presented by the chairman of the business committee. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker, the chair of the business committee is unavoidably absent. With your leave and indulgence, I would want to take his place to present the report.
Yes, Honorable Member, go ahead.
Right Honorable Speaker, your committee met yesterday to consider business for the ensuing week ending Thursday, the 24th day of June 2021. So, Speaker, the arrangement of business as follows. I may read formal communication to the House. In total, Mr. Speaker, has admitted 18 questions, 7 urgent and 11 oral. All of them have been programmed to be answered. The Speaker may also, in accord with Order 72, permit statement to be made by ministers and by honorable members in accordance with Order 72. The Speaker, bills may also be presented for first reading in accordance with Order 120. Of course, those of urgent nature may be taken through in one day in accordance with Order 119. And pursuant to Order 75, Mr. Speaker, papers for presentation to a House may be placed on the order paper for laying, and committee reports may also be presented to the House for consideration. Mr. Speaker, motions and their consequential resolutions, if any, taken during the week. The Speaker, of particular importance is the briefing expected from the Ghana Statistical Service, National Health Insurance Authority, and Office of the District Assembly's Common Fund Administrator. Mr. Speaker, these institutions have been programmed to appear before us on the 22nd of June, that is Tuesday. The Ghana Statistics will use the opportunity to provide insight on the population and housing census, and the role honourable members of Parliament would be expected to play towards a successful exercise. And of course, Mr. Speaker, the House is expected to be briefed on pertinent issues regarding the formula and disbursement of the National Health Insurance Fund, the National Health Insurance Fund for the year 2021. We would like to entreat members to make themselves available to make a positive interaction when the opportunity comes. Right Honourable Speaker, in view of the population and housing census, it is necessary for honourable members to travel to their constituency well in advance to prepare for the exercise. Accordingly, in consultation with you, the committee proposes that sitting of the House for next week should end on Thursday, 24th of June. That the House will not sit on Friday, 25th of June for the aforementioned reason. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I say that in accordance with the Standing Order 162 and subject to Standing Order 53, this committee submits to this House the order in which the business shall be taken during the ensuing week. Mr. Speaker, we've attached the program to this report. I so submit. Thank you, sir.
Honourable members, any comments? Yes, ranking for health.
I'm most grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have filed a question with regards to the purchase of Sputnik 5 at the rate of $19 per dose and $26 per dose. Mr. Speaker, in view of the fact that this has generated very high public interest, I will take this opportunity to appeal to you so that it will be programmed for next week. Mr. Speaker, it's not been captured in the business statement.
Yes, Deputy Majority Leader, take note, then after that you respond. Yes, Honourable Blackwood.
Very grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I commend the Deputy Majority Leader for the presentation of the business statement. Mr. Speaker, this week I was scheduled to ask the Honourable Minister responsible for finance the cost of the recent presidential travels to France, Belgium, and South Africa yesterday, the 17th of June. Indeed, it was programmed in the provisional order paper of the 16th of June 2021. I was told at rather short notice yesterday, the Honourable Finance Minister is asking for more time by Mr. Jetro, the clerk at table. Mr. Speaker, I was expecting, in view of the circumstances, that that question will be programmed for next week at the very least. Surprisingly, I've gone through all the questions that have been programmed from next week Tuesday all the way to Thursday, and my question does not find expression. So it's not clear how much time, and it was an urgent question, Mr. Speaker. It is an urgent question, and our standing orders is clear that ordinarily urgent questions should not go beyond 10 sitting days. That's what our standing orders. So, Mr. Speaker, I would want the Deputy Majority Leader to let us understand why the question has not been programmed, and if he knows just how much time the Finance Minister is requesting to answer what I believe is a rather simple question on the course of the presidential travels in May. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I also observe that we are quite fortunate that for the ensuing week, the three ministers for security, the minister responsible for national security, the minister responsible for defense, and the minister responsible for the interior, are all coming to this house to answer one question or the other. But the questions obviously had been filed much earlier, and so they do not relate to the current security situation. I want to find out from the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader if we can create an opportunity, some window of opportunity for either the National Security Minister or the Minister responsible for the Interior to brief this House on the current security situation. It's really necessary. Many Ghanaians are anxious. We've seen multiple blacks. Police officer has been killed, and the insecurity situation is escalating and has become quite alarming. So if the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader can create some space for the security ministers to respond to this matter, which is of enormous public interest. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Suhili.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I wish to commend the Deputy Majority Leader for the presentation of what is expected to come, God willing, next week. Mr. Speaker, I just wish to suggest to the Business Committee through the Majority Leader if we could find space later this week to get a briefing from the Minister responsible for Lands and Natural Resources after what has been considered a very successful project of greening Ghana, given the key role that this House played in the whole exercise. The Minister, Right Honourable Speaker, if you recall, was here to make a statement on it, which you supported, and even went ahead to declare what can be considered a holiday for members to travel back to their constituencies to support this project. Mr. Speaker, I think that it will be appropriate that the Minister briefs this House on how well or not the program that we lend our support to has gone. Again, Mr. Speaker, I look at item number 3, briefing of the House, and I would wish to appeal that if it is possible for us to get the Get Fund Secretariat through the Minister of Education to return on the same day that these institutions will be briefing the House, given that our last briefing was inconclusive. I think it will be appropriate that the Ministry returns with the Get Fund Secretariat as soon as possible for us to have the formula considered and approved, given the pressing nature of educational needs that are expected in our various areas, and contractors especially who are waiting for the formula to be approved so that they can carry out projects that are outstanding. The Business Committee will find space to consider these two items. I thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honorable Kodo.
I'm referring to item number 3 on page 2, which comes under briefing of the House. In the third paragraph, the Deputy Majority Leader presents this statement. The House would also be briefed on critical issues pertinent to the formula for the disbursement of the National Health Insurance Fund and the National Health Insurance Fund. There is a repetition there. So I want to find out whether he wants to mention another fund or we should just delete one of the two.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I refer my leader, page 4 of the statement, item B, Roman number 6. It should be Jato Akura, not Tato Kura. Jato Akura. Page 4 of the business statement, number B, Roman number 6. Yes, on the business statement, page 4. On the agent questions. The business, yes, please. We have 1, 2, is there, page 4, number B. That if I read for you, filed by yourself, Honorable Joseph Kwame Kuma. Is it misstapled? The business statement you just read is
Yes, Honorable Member,
yes,
we have page 4,
number B.
Yes, item B.
Roman number 6.
Roman number
6. There are communities, if, with your permission, Mr. Speaker, maybe let me read the whole thing so that my leader could appreciate it.
Honorable Member. Honorable Member, please. Page 4.
Page 4.
Item B.
B.
Please take your time. Item B.
Yes, please.
We have Mr. Kumar.
Yes.
Kintamponov.
Yes, please.
Yes.
And I'm saying that the Roman number VI.
There's no.
I correct. I say it should be
Honorable
Jato.
Member, there is no Roman number VI on the B.
But I have, Mr. Speaker, the business statement.
You are talking about the question.
Okay. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, I need the question.
The question.
The question. We
Yes.
ask the Minister for Interior when relief items will be distributed to victims of rainstorms that occurred in March and April 2021 in the following communities: Kentampo Township, 2, that's I, Babatokuma, I, Kadalso, IV, Sronase, V, Tahiri Kura, and VI, Jato Akura, and not Tato. It's a correction.
Well, Honorable Member, we will take.
Jato J. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We will take your correction, but the original question you filed, which came to me for admission, it was not Jato. And so I'm told that you came later on to change it to read Jato. And so we've taken the corrections now, and what will appear on the order paper for you to ask the question will be the proper name, Jato.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Deputy Minority Whip.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, for the third time, I'm seeing this is the third time or third week. For the third time, I'm seeing the statutory formulas appearing on the business statement. The first week they were on the business statement, we couldn't take them. The second week same, and this week too, I could see them appearing on the next week business statement. The Speaker, if you are to go strictly by the governing these statutory funds, the law says 3 months after the budget. The Speaker, we are in third month after the budget. I just want to make an appeal to the acting leader of the House, to get in touch with the ministers and the administrators governing these statutory boards to make sure that next week, because next week will be ending off, it will be 24th of June, to make sure that at least next week they are able to present the formulas for us to pass them for the 3 months to end in 30th of this June, so that we can still operate within the law. If they are appearing for the third time on the business statement and next week you are not able to take them, Mr. Speaker, I don't think we'll be doing a good service to this country. So we want to appeal to them. The District Assembly Common Fund, we are entering June. We are ending June. That is the third week after the budget. Ghana Education Trust and Get Fund, 3 months after the budget. Then National Health Insurance Fund, which governs the health, which administers the health of the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, even the formula is not even here. So clearly, acting leader, get in touch with parents, anxiously waiting for them to bring the formula for us to work on to save Meta Ghana. It can be that it will appear, Parliament say we are ready, we prepare for it and they don't come. We prepare and they don't come. We prepare and they don't come. This preparation for next week should be the final preparation. Mr. Speaker, this is just an appeal and a signal to the acting leader.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity to make some comments on the business statement. Mr. Speaker, in all fairness to the chairman, I didn't have the opportunity to participate in the meeting yesterday, so I would indulge you to tolerate me as I raise just 1 or 2 more issues for the attention of the House and the Business Committee. Mr. Speaker, repeatedly we have asked that as Parliament, the President, as you know, is an executive president, and his decisions are important for the efficient running of our country. I raised the matter of the road fund because, Mr. Speaker, Ghanaian contractors and Ghanaians in the private sector who are entrepreneurs, whose livelihood and businesses are affected by the road fund, they expect that they will benefit from the road fund monthly releases. If you don't have the board constituted, life stagnates for them, and I'm renewing my call that the President must wake up and ensure that chief executives and boards are properly constituted. We don't want to believe that it's deliberate to allow individual ministers to play the role that boards, as important governance structures, should be playing with their chief executive officers. And Mr. Speaker, the second is to commend the Deputy Leader, at least for bringing the Ghana Statistical Service. And I know, Mr. Speaker, yourself, you guided leadership that you would wish that we all spend a day in the constituencies to raise the consciousness of our people to participate in that exercise. So it's to hear the Deputy Leader announce that we will close work earlier on Thursday in order to participate in this important national exercise. Mr. Speaker, my final will be that we are filing an urgent motion on the health sector and to request for a bipartisan probe into Ghana's procurement of COVID vaccines as $26 and not $10 as is the practice in many countries. And motion, as I've emphasized, will be to call for a bipartisan probe, because for all intents and purposes we think that even that transaction is an international economic transaction within the meaning of Article 1815 of the Constitution. Parliament is not aware of it. We would want to appreciate and understand the procurement processes that were used, but more importantly to demand value for money for the Ghanaian taxpayer, and that we are not just seeking to profit from COVID with this questionable transaction. So, Mr. Speaker, we will file an urgent motion. We've done that and give it to you before the close of sitting. But it's a matter that I would have raised if I got opportunity to be at the business committee. So once again, thanks for tolerating me. And I hope that the leader of government business will respond to Road Fund Board. Why is it taking your government more than half a year to get a board just constituted or to get a chief executive appointed? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Apak.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, mine is also an appeal to the acting leader of the House and to draw his attention to a similar situation akin to what the minority leader just narrated. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, our public universities have no properly constituted councils. The current councils in place have outlived their 10 years of office. Indeed, by law, newly constituted councils should have been outlawed in January 2021. Mr. Speaker, this is June, and this is yet to be done. And I therefore wish to also appeal to government to do the needful by ensuring that the universities have properly constituted councils so that teaching and learning and the governance of our apex institutions of learning can go on smoothly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, Deputy, yes, Honorable Member. Yes.
Page 3, question number 45. No, 47. The last lesson is Durijan. The question is in my name.
Yes.
It's a correction.
Correction of what?
The name of a community. Roman number VII.
Yes.
Yeah, Durijan, not Jam.
Spell it.
The Duri is D-U-O-R.
Can you please speak into the mic?
I said the D-U-O-R-I before the Jam.
To his compound?
Yes, sir. Mr. Speaker.
Okay, table office, take note. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader, could you kindly attempt to respond to the issues? Honorable Member, are you on your feet to comment on the business statement?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, there is an issue I want to bring to our attention, even though we've discussed this matter before, and that is about the qualification required for research assistants. The last time the matter came up, I made the point that there are two categories of master's degree holders. We have the research masters and we have the normal masters. Mr. Speaker, if we care to know, I have some data on me regarding the proportion of third masters. And it is instructive to know that we don't have enough holders of research masters in this country. During the 2018-2019 academic year, we had about 5,000 of students who possess...
Honorable member, what are you correcting? Your name?
No, I'm not. We need to revisit the issue of the qualification needed by...
Honorable member, we are dealing with the business statement now. We are dealing with business statement now. So please, you are out of question.
Mr. Speaker, first on the concerns raised by my respected colleague, Honorable Minta Kando. Mr. Speaker, I will refer him to Order 66 and 67. Issue of admissibility is solely in the hands of Mr. Speaker, and if Mr. Speaker admits his question, the next thing is that same will be to the table office, and then your committee would look at it. So I believe that he has to take up his concerns with the table office. It is not a matter of the business committee having delayed him, and that impression was what he was trying to create. No, at all. There is no such thing before the business committee. And then, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Ablakwa also expressed worry as to why the finance minister is yet to respond to his question. I think a firm indication was given that he would come and respond to the question. You need the facts, and it is important that he comes with the facts. Yesterday he was here to answer some questions. I think that it's only fair to give him that space, and I'm sure that once those facts are available, we will find space to get him to be here. Mr. Speaker, the right of a member to get responses from the executive is a far right. Nobody can stampede it. And this is the biggest platform we have. So I would encourage members to utilize this platform, so that we get the work done and done properly. So I want to assure my colleague, he needed an assurance from me. We will follow up with the minister and ensure that he comes to respond to you. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the issue of security matter, I think that is why we have committees. So I would want to encourage committee leaders to take up some of these things. This is something that Honorable Suhimi also raised, that the tree planting, the success thereof, you need briefing. I think these are matters that committees can take up, then meet with the ministers, and then a report could come. Regarding the motion that minority leader says he intends to file, Mr. Speaker, that is why we've made provision for motions. If you look at 2C, motions and resolutions, right, Honorable Speaker, motions may be debated and consequential resolutions, if any. So, Mr. Speaker, the minority leader should have no worries at all. You determine admissibility, and then we'll deal with it. So he should not worry, but I'm sure he wanted to make a political punch, at least for the time being, ahead of filing his motion. No problem at all about that. Mr. Speaker, I think that's all about it. Formally, for consideration next week, I think the appropriate agencies are going to come. We met with GetFund yesterday. It was inconclusive. I believe that they've assured us that they will come for us to deal with it. Mr. Speaker, without more responses, I thank you so much.
Yes, Honorable Forson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the matter that the Honorable Samuel Ablakwa raised, referencing the cost of the use of the top-notch, luxurious private jet that was supposedly rented for the purposes of His Excellency the President's travel in May 2021 to France, Belgium, and South Africa. Mr. Speaker, I cannot understand the reason why we are asking for time. Mr. Speaker, this is simple because the bill has already been paid. Because the way private jet works, you have to pay before the service is indeed rendered. I cannot understand the reason why they are asking for time. Mr. Speaker, the expenses has already been incurred for this top-notch luxurious aircraft. And that is why it's important, Mr. Speaker, that the minister responsible for finance should appear before us and answer the simple question of the cost. All what the Honorable Ablakwa and the minority is asking for is the cost of this luxurious top-notch aircraft, Mr. Speaker. So it's important for him to appear before us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Please, honorable members, let me be clear on this matter. Honorable Ablakwa filed 2 questions, and I hope members are listening. Both questions were admitted by Mr. Speaker, and the questions were forwarded to the ministers concerned, the Finance and the Minister for Defense. Answers were submitted. They were published to be taken. They could not be taken. Definitely, they will have to be programmed to be taken. There is no problem with it at all. In fact, but the question did not extend to what the Honorable Atufose had just stated. I think that is his addition. And if he wants, he could also file another question about top-notch executive jet and all those things. Maybe that is his language. But let me disabuse what has been put on the social media that the Honorable said. The questions. There is no iota of truth in that publication. The questions were admitted and forwarded to the ministers. And the ministers have indicated to me their readiness to come and answer the questions. So there should be no problem. Business committee, do the right, get them programmed for the ministers to come and answer. With this, honorable members, I think the business statement as presented is adopted. Today being Friday, the clear intention of the House is to adjourn earlier than before. But we have one critical decision to take. We tried yesterday and we could not take a decision on it. I am reliably informed that leadership put their heads together and have come out with a position. This is in respect of item 7 on the order paper, the safe report of the Appointments Committee. I am told leadership agreed to take out the names of the contentious candidates and to take the remaining as a consensual position. I want confirmation or otherwise on this. Is that the position, Chairman of Committee?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. After a meeting this morning, we have agreed the nominee on whom there's no agreement will be removed from the report. We will take the rest of the report, and then the issue relating to her will further consult before the next report is made. Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, then we can move to, at the commencement of public business, item 7, motion that this Honorable House adopt the safe report of the Appointments Committee of His Excellency the President's nominations for Deputy Ministerial Appointments. Chairman of the Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the report has already been laid, so before I move the report, if I may seek your indulgence to make these amendments. Mr. Speaker, on page 2 of the report, you delete item X. Item X on page 2 of the report. And then on page 49, we remove paragraph 4.10 all through on page 49, item 4.10, all through to page 56. Page 56 up to item 4.10.3. Mr. Speaker, I pray that all those pages are deleted before I proceed with the motion.
Honorable members. Yes, Minority Leader.
Speaker, if the chairman's attention can further be drawn to page 77, the paragraph 5.0 coming into page 78, the same consequential correction, if it can come from him. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Minority Leader is right. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. May also on page 78 delete item X on page 78 of the report. Thank you.
Honorable, the items and paragraphs as referred to are deleted accordingly. The chairman may now move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House adopts the report, the 6th report of the Appointments Committee on the President's nomination for Deputy Ministerial Appointments. Mr. Speaker, I will only make references, and I pray that the Hunter Department capture the entire report as same have been duly presented. Mr. Speaker, this report covers the nomination of Honorable Andrew Kofi Ejapa Mensah
as Deputy Minister for Energy, John Intim Fojo as Deputy Minister for Education, Honorable George Mekuduka for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Amankwa Menu for Defense, Honorable Nana Eya Kwansa, Honorable Deputy Minister for Interior, Honorable Hassan Suleiman Atampuli for Transport, Honorable John Ampontwe Kuma for Finance, Honorable Frederick Obingadum for Transport, Honorable Mavis Nkansan Bwedu for Roads and Highways, Honorable Evans Opoku Bobie for Youth and Sports, Honorable Amidu Isahaku China for Sanitation and Water Resources, Honorable Hadi Tifero, Food and Agriculture, Honorable Miss Diana Asunaba Dapa, Deputy Attorney General, and Honorable Tina Nayele Mensa as Honorable Deputy Minister Designate. The Speaker, the committee, in considering the nominations, made references to the Constitution, the standing orders, and the CVs of the nominees. Before starting the hearing with the Speaker, the candidates' nominations were published in newspapers of national circulation, and the public were invited. The Speaker must put on record that the committee did not receive any petitions or memoranda from the public as requested. The Speaker, the questions they answered, their background and others are all captured in the report from pages 3 through to page 77. The Speaker, I'll go to the conclusion. The conclusion is that the Speaker, this committee, after duly considering the nominations of His Excellency, the President, has recommended for approval by this House all the persons previously mentioned for the roles as recommended, as nominated. I so move. And thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion and to draw the chairman's attention. I'm seeing the names item XII and XIV. That's Amidu Isahaku Chinia, and then Miss Diana Sunaba Pepa. Based on what we have been, they were vetted on that Friday. Yes, they were vetted on that Friday. And Mr. Speaker, as part of our building consensus and managing the challenges that we were having as a committee, we had some understanding that I hope the chairman will take note and make the necessary amendment for item XII, that's Roman number 12, that's Honorable Amidu Isahaku Chinia, and then XIV, that's Miss Diana Sunaba Dapa, the two of them. If that amendment can be made so that we will continue. Most grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as part of the meeting we had this morning, there were other nominees which our colleagues suggested we discuss further. And so we agreed that their report will be taken on another date. Apparently, they have been part of this report. Indeed, if I had not drawn my attention, I would not have. So in that report, Mr. Speaker, I seek leave to amend the report again, that on page
2, item XII, delete. And item XIV, also delete. Now to find them here, somewhere here, in the main body of the page 55. Okay. Mr. Speaker, I also pray that we delete item 4.12 on page 63 through to page 65, item 4.12 on page 65. And on page 69, delete item 4.14 through to item 4.143 on page 73. Mr. Speaker, I pray that we amend the report by deleting those pages for the time.
Honourable members, further amendment to the report is hereby granted. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, in seconding the motion, I just want to add that, Mr. Speaker, largely these are our own colleagues, members of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, as I have argued on this floor time and time again, it is my candid belief that when members of Parliament are elected and get the opportunity to be nominated as ministers, in my view, we should not be vetting them, because I want to believe that they've been vetted through the election. Because if you look at the essence of the vetting or the appointments committee, Mr. Speaker, it is to ensure that those that have been nominated qualify to be members of Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, where these appointments or the like of the appointment committee happens are places where you have presidential system. If you look at parliamentary system, like in the UK, ministers that are chosen amongst members of Parliament do not go through vetting. I want to believe that this is something that we need to bring to the foreburner and be able to use that as a process of reducing the time that it takes for a government to get formed and the time that Parliament spends in trying to vet the ministers and deputy ministers. Because largely you go into this appointment committee work, and unfortunately for us, having over the years not been able to educate our populace very well, there's always this misunderstanding about what our role truly is. And you get a lot of expectations outside the mandate of the committee, and in many instances creates a lot of discomfort for members of the committee. The Speaker, like I said, most of the gentlemen and ladies were our own colleagues. We tried to understand of the areas where they were heading to serve as deputy ministers. And Mr. Speaker, I'm convinced that many of them are capable of our performing to our expectation. And I want to urge the House to approve their nominations so that they will go and serve as deputy ministers, as some of them were already deputy ministers in the 7 previous regime. And I have no doubt that they will continue to do their best in the best interest of our country. With this comment, Mr. Speaker, I second the motion and I support the approval of these names. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Cletus Avoka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion on the floor and in your indulgence and to raise an observation that is closely associated with the nomination and approval and appointment of cabinet ministers and ministers of state. Mr. Speaker, I have a list of names of ministers of state, 27 of them, that were referred to this House on the 21st of January 2021, 27 members who are ministers, some of them are sector ministers. Mr. Speaker, conspicuously absent on the list of cabinet ministers and even sector ministers of state is the omission of two regions that do not have a representation in the cabinet or as sector ministers. Mr. Speaker, the importance of this cannot be overemphasized. It is a constitutional provision under the Directive Principles of State Policy, Article 35, that there must be regional balance, reasonable regional balance in the appointment of political appointees and public servants in the political service, in the political system. It is against this background that I think that the omission by His Excellency, the President, to appoint ministers of state, at least a minister of state each, for his region, and also from the OT region, is in breach of this Constitution. But the avoidance of that, Mr. Speaker, Article 35 deals with political objectives of the country, and the Director of Principles of State Policy have very well been described as the heartbeat and the spirit of the Constitution. And I think that if this provision is the heartbeat and the spirit of the Constitution, it's only fair that we give practical expression and importance to it by making sure that when we are making appointments, particularly to the cabinet or to the sector ministries, almost every Ghana should have at least one representation. There are 16 regions, and there are 27 ministers, and there are 19 cabinet ministers. Mr. Speaker, if you, for example, let me quote Article 35(6)(b) of the Constitution. Towards the achievement of the objective stated in clause 5 of this article, the state shall take appropriate measures to achieve reasonable regional and gender balance in recruitment and appointment to public offices. What are the objectives behind this? One, to foster political unity and cohesion in the country. Secondly, to provide for participatory democracy, that is deepen democracy in the country. And then thirdly, to deepen democracy in the country. So if we have all to participate, we have to deepen democracy, we have to unify this country. Then, at a cabinet meeting, if from a particular region or affect a particular region, I think the President just needs to look around and say, yes, almost so and so, we are from this region, what do you have to say about it? If that happens, then the cabinet will be blessed with to take an informed decision, because the honorable member from that region will be able to assist the cabinet to take that decision. Mr. Speaker, during the proceeding of the Consultative Assembly, of which I pride to have been one of them, this issue was very, very well considered. In fact, at that time, there must be a quota system in the appointment of people to the political offices and recruitment to the security services. And because of what had happened in the past, that some of these appointments were limited to the urban areas, to the towns, etc., and leaving the rural areas, that form the majority of the people of this country. So it was decided that we should make a provision under the Directive of Principles of State Policy for appointment to be based on quota basis, so that every region will be catered for. But during the course of the discussions, our attention was drawn to the fact as a unitary state, it would have been a radical approach, and with the populations, regions having different populations, it would have been very difficult to make quota system, and that would have been very radical. So, with the compromise was that let's provide for the appointed authorities to have at the back of their minds and ensure that there's regional balance in the appointment of people to public offices and to the security services. It is not for nothing that we did that. Mr. Speaker will recall that under the 1969 Constitution, it provided that only members of Parliament can be ministers of state. If you are not a member of Parliament, you cannot be appointed as a minister. Unfortunately, the Volta region did not have a member of Parliament on the Progress Party ticket, and therefore there was no minister from that region and country. That a huge region at that time, like the Volta region, had no minister of state or minister in cabinet, and therefore, if there were matters affecting the Volta region, nobody was there to assist the cabinet, and that is why we made this provision to depart from the Constitution of 1969 and 1979. It was not for any bad reason, but for purposes of this country and participatory development of this country. Mr. Speaker, in 2001, when President Kufuor was sworn in and he was appointing his cabinet, at the end of the day, there was no minister from the Upper West region. No minister was appointed from the Upper West region. And during the Meet the Press program, he was challenged by the pressmen as to why he had omitted to appoint a minister from the Upper West region. I regret to say the gentle giant had this infamous statement to make, that there was no suitable material from the Upper West region for him to work with. That was very unfortunate, that there was no suitable material from the Upper West region for him to work with or for him to appoint as a cabinet minister. That was quite unfortunate. But sooner than later, with the greatest respect, he had the humble pie and appointed one Professor Kasim Kasanga, then a lecturer at the University of Pankuri University of Science and Technology, as Minister for Lands and Forestry. That was my schoolmate in the Congo Secondary School, a professor. And we all know that if we take the then 3 northern regions before they were divided into 5 or 6, Upper West region had more intelligence than any other region, more experienced civil servants and public servants. Yet President Kufuor said so. He didn't take a cue from this. So I expected that when President Kufuor did this, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo would have and appointed at least one region from Oti region, one minister from Oti region, and another minister from the Upper East region, where I come from. But unfortunately, he failed to do that, and that is why I'm using this forum to draw his attention to it, so he should do the right thing. Mr. Speaker, I don't want it to be said or to be taken that it is payback time. It is tried knowledge that in 2020 election, out of 15 constituencies, MPP got only 1 constituency in the Upper East region. And in the Oti region, they had no member of Parliament. Is it payback time? No, it shouldn't be. Is it payback time? You didn't give me an MP, therefore I won't give you a minister. He is bound by the Constitution to give them a minister, and not bound by the outcome of the parliamentary election. And I think that it's important that we draw the attention of the President to do the right thing. I believe it was an oversight. And if it was an oversight, then we should correct the oversight now. Mr. Speaker, even if there was no constitutional provision, with the greatest respect, I think it is common sense that if you have a cabinet of 16 regions, and then the Constitution allows you to appoint as many ministers as possible, you should have at least 1 from each region. And cabinet, there are 19. So every region could have benefited from 1 cabinet minister, 16. Then the 3 can go to any other region. If you look at the list now, there are some regions that have about 2 or 3 cabinet ministers, and other regions don't have anybody at all. Are we one country, one people, and one destiny? No. No. And we can't allow this thing to be happening. Mr. Speaker, the Supreme Court, they have been arguments that, the provisions of the Directive Principle of State Policy are not justiciable. That they are not justiciable, so they are just there for you to observe or for you to be guided. With the greatest respect, the highest court of the land has made a pronouncement of this, and they have said that they are justiciable, they are enforceable. One of such cases, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to be seen to be pedantic or to be academic, but at least to allay the fears of some people that if the President does so, the Supreme Court has held that it is justiciable. In the case of Ghana Lottery Operator Association and 5 others versus National Lottery Authority, a case that was presided by Justice Probe, by Justice Dakeban, a very renowned Supreme Court judge and a law lecturer of all of us who have done law, was the one who delivered the judgment. And among other things, he said this, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, an issue is justiciable if it is capable of being settled by a court. Prima facie, one would have thought that everything in the Constitution should be justiciable. The Constitution is a legal document containing the most important rules on political governance. The core ability of ensuring that these rules are complied with. To my mind, therefore, the starting point of the analysis should be that the Constitution is justiciable. Unless there are strong indications to the contrary in the text or content of the Constitution, we therefore have much sympathy with the position of Adare JSC as he then was in the case of the New Patriotic Party versus the Attorney General. That is the 31st December case, and that was reported in the 1993-1994 True Ghana Law Report, page 65 to 66, when he said, and I quote, yes, Adade, as stated earlier, the plaintiff relies inter alia on Articles 35 and 41 of the Constitution 1992. Both these articles come under Chapter 6 of the Constitution 1992 entitled Directive Principles of State Policy. It has been maintained in certain quarters that these directive principles are not justiciable and therefore cannot avail the plaintiff. And he continues, I'm aware that this idea of the alleged non-justiciability of the directive principles widely, but I have not found it convincingly substantiated anywhere. I have the uncomfortable feeling that this may be one of those cases where a false good, given sufficient currency, manages to pass as the truth. I do not subscribe to the view that Chapter 6 of the Constitution 1992 is not justiciable. It is. First, the Constitution 1992 as a whole is a justiciable document. If any part is to be non-justiciable, 1992 itself must say so. I have not seen anything in Chapter 6 or in the Constitution 1992 generally which tells me that Chapter 6 is not justiciable. The evidence to establish the non-justiciability must be internal to the Constitution 1992, not otherwise, for the simple reason that if the preferred proof is external to the Constitution 1992, it must not of necessity conflict with it and be void and inadmissible. We cannot add words to the Constitution in order to change its meaning. And therefore, Chapter 6 of the Constitution is justiciable. If it is justiciable, it means the President, by failing to appoint a minister and one from Upper West, not just a cabinet minister from Upper West and then Upper East and Oti region, is something that we should pray to him to try and enforce. Let me conclude, Mr. Q, by saying that those who hold this view that they are not justiciable must be misled or be swayed by two documents. The experts committee, in the report that they submit to the Consultative Assembly, said that these provisions were not justiciable. The Indian Constitution also said that they are not justiciable. But the Consultative Assembly looked at it and removed that aspect that said that they are not justiciable and left it there that they are justiciable. In the Constitution as compared to the Indian Constitution, where it is stated broadly. So the justices are saying that if it is intended to be excluded, let the Constitution say so. If the Constitution has not said so, then it must be enforced. It is with great respect that I want to use this forum to invite His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to, as a matter of urgency, appoint a cabinet minister for the Upper East region and the Oti region in fulfillment of the requirements and the aspirations of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you.
Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I was on my feet on a point of order, but I thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, my respected colleague was raising a constitutional issue. His contention is that the failure of the president to have a minister from Upper East in his cabinet is unconstitutional. That is, in plain language, his contention. Mr. Speaker, we may be guided. 76 of the Constitution. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Article 76 is clear. He is not saying that the president has not appointed a minister from Upper East. If that was his argument, then on all fours, he would have a point. He has not argued that there is no minister from Upper East. He is saying that there must be, yes, but it is not, if he says that he is expressing that for the so be it. But if he says it's unconstitutional, I am saying that we must not mislead people into thinking that the Constitution says so. That is all my point. In any event, what is in consideration here is deputy ministerial nominees. So you have been overtaken by events. We are not considering ministerial nominees. It's deputy ministerial nominees. All I want to say is that the president hasn't breached Article 76 of the Constitution. Simplicity, as you try to argue. That is my point.
Honourable members, I thought this being a report that had been agreed upon by members on the basis of consensus, we will not be spending too much time in debating it again. But the chief whip, majority, you have a point you insist you want to make.
Speaker, I thank you for your kindness. Speaker, first of all, I want to commend the men and women who have had the privilege of being appointed by the President to be considered by this August House. And I'm very confident that they will come to complement the good works started by their ministers. Speaker, it will be remiss on my part not to commend you. Commend your good self for the intervention yesterday, and particularly commend the First Deputy Speaker, both House, both leadership for the understanding we've had. At a point yesterday, I was very worried about what was happening, and I think that both sides of the House expressed the worry. I think the appointment committee has done a good job. The leadership of the appointment committee has shown leadership since the dawn of their work is commendable, particularly this time. The kind of work they did amidst the COVID. It showed true leadership, and the appointment committee needs to be commended. What happened yesterday nearly marred the good works that you've chalked and the good works that both leadership have chalked. I want to appeal that what happened yesterday should be a very good point for us to continue to engage further. This parliament is a different one, of course. We've never had this parliament since our Republican Constitution. And the best we can do is to reach out to one another and rather build consensus so that we avoid some of these happenings in the future. Speaker, let me conclude by commending all the nominees and to urge them and wish them the best of luck in their deliberations and endeavors. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your opportunity.
Honourable members, I proceed to put the question. Those in favour of the adoption of the report of the committee as amended, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. The report of the committee is accordingly adopted. The nominations of the following as deputy ministers have accordingly been approved by the House. They are: 1. Honorable Andrew Kofi Ejepamesa, Deputy Energy. Honorable John Intim Fojo, Honorable George Meku, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Honorable Kofi Amankwaminu, Deputy Minister for Defense. Honorable Nana Ehia Kwansa, Deputy Minister for Transport. Deputy Minister for Interior. Honorable Hassan Suleimana Tampuli, Deputy Minister for Transport. Honorable John Chua Kuma, Deputy Minister for Finance. Honorable Frederick Obeng Adom, Deputy Minister for Transport. Honorable Mavis Nkansa Bwedu, Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways. Mr. Evans Opoku Bobie, Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports. Honorable Mohammed Hadi Tuferu, Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture. And Honorable Tina Na Ayele Mensah, Deputy Minister for Health. Honorable members, these nominees have accordingly been approved by the House and will be forwarded by me to His Excellency the President for his kind consideration of appointing them as Deputy Ministers of State. Let me also add my voice in thanking the leadership of the Appointments Committee and the leadership in general for listening to my counsel yesterday and for putting their heads together and resolving the impasse to enable us to take the decision today. Thank you so much for that. I want to add a word to the members of Parliament who have got this responsibility bestowed on them by His Excellency the President, that your primary duty is to the people of Ghana as the representatives of the people. That is your primary duty. The people elected you to represent them in Parliament. You owe that primary duty to the people and to Parliament. You have been given additional responsibility by His Excellency the President. That is secondary. If you decide to sacrifice the mandate and legitimacy of the people for that of His Excellency the President, you do that at your own peril. But we in this House will continue to hold you responsible to the people of Ghana. They say a word to the wise. Enough. As for what my senior Honorable Cletus Avoka has stated, it should not, he's my senior at the bar. And in any case, he was born long before me. He's my senior. Don't let his voice be like Moses in the wilderness. It means a lot for the cohesion and for our agenda of nation building. We should take these things seriously. It sins against some of the provisions of the Constitution. It is not unconstitutional. I say it sins against some of the constitutional provisions. And so I think that is a call on His Excellency to take that on board in future. I thank all of you for your cooperation. I will now ask for guidance from leadership. Yes, the available leader.
Mr. Speaker, nothing now remains except to, Mr. Speaker, except to move that this House be adjourned until Tuesday, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion for. Honourable
members, the motion is to adjourn the House to Tuesday at 10 in the forenoon. Those in favor say aye. Those against. I think the noes have it. The noes have it. And so we are going to continue with business. Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, we only hope you could take the question again. Well, Speaker, there are a lot more of committee meetings that have to be taken. And Mr. Speaker, you know today is also Friday. As yesterday you rightly mentioned, members have to try and catch up in their conferences in good time. Because we are almost at 1 o'clock. So be careful if the question will be taken again.
Well, this is the time I'm in your hands. It is not the time you are in my hands. And so you are taking the decision, and your decision is to continue with business. Now, if you want to reconsider your earlier decision, do so. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this Honourable House should be adjourned to Tuesday, 10 o'clock in the forenoon, to enable us go and continue committee and other works in our conference. I so move.
just get clarification. Is the House moving to adjourn to 10 in the forenoon or in the afternoon? Yes, please. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I get the sense of the House is to adjourn to 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. I therefore move that this House will stand adjourned until Tuesday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker,
yes, please.
Second the motion for adjournment.
Motion moved and seconded. I put the question. Those in favor of the adjournment to Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, I think the noes have it. Honorable members, the noes have it, and I'm moving to item well, we must continue with business. That's the decision of the House. So I want to continue with the business. We still have a number of items, and since you are interested in going on, yes, my Deputy Whip.
Right, Honorable Speaker, it has to do with the time and not adjournment.
It has to do with the time.
With the time.
The time was part of the motion. Honorable Deputy Whip, I actually don't see that issue because the first motion was to adjourn to Tuesday at 10 in the forenoon. It was rejected. The second motion was to adjourn to 2, and it was accepted. And so, no, it was also rejected. Yes, it was also rejected. And so, what other time do you prefer? Not 10 in the forenoon, not 2 in the afternoon. 4 in the afternoon. Yes, Honorable Majalga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think the first vote was based on not listening to you attentively. I think members want 10 o'clock in the forenoon, but we inadvertently voted against the motion. And we thought that our chief whip will repeat the application for the motion and for the same time. And somehow he was wrongly inspired by others to change the time to 2 p.m. Mr. Speaker, I think that generally the sense is that the adjournment should be to 10 o'clock in the forenoon on Tuesday. So, Mr. Speaker, we will appeal to you to allow us to move a third for adjournment to Tuesday, 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I humbly wish to second the motion for adjournment until Tuesday, 10 a.m. in the forenoon. Thank you.
Those in favor of adjournment to Tuesday, 10 in the forenoon, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned to Tuesday at 10 in the forenoon. The House is adjourned.